Oh, 1 second. Can I know that how long is the speech? 5 minutes or 7 minutes?
Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the pre-finals for Debsoc Premier League. For today, we have some teams. We have the theme for today's religion. The teams on opening on all of the government side. We have MVIT Super Kings, captained by Swapnil Fatke. On opposition, we have MVIT Super Kings, captained by Aakriti. The motion for today reads: This House prefers religious organizations to actively propagate the idea that faith cannot be explained with logic rather than attempt to explain faith rationally. I am Pratyus and I will be your chair for this round. I don't have any preferred gender pronouns. With me on panel, we have Nidhi H and Subra Dikshit. That being said, I would like to start the debate by welcoming the Prime Minister to start the debate. Some general housekeeping rules. Each speaker could speak for a maximum of 7 minutes 15 seconds. Anything that comes after 7:15, don't stand on our notes. Secondly, please do ask POIs through private chat. And since it's a religious motion, keep in mind all the equity policies that you have been built upon previously. That being said, Prime Minister, the floor is yours. Here. Prime Minister.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yeah, you are perfectly audible.
Okay. Thank you. Can I just get 30 seconds?
Yeah, just let me know whenever you are ready.
Okay. So I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. I am Prime Minister. I'm speaking for the speech of Prime Minister, and today our motion is: This House supports religious organization to actively propagate the idea that faith cannot be explained with logic rather than attempt to explain with faith rationally. So first, we must understand that there is a power beyond science. You cannot just depend on one. So let me explain. Let me tell you by explaining what exactly logic means. See, logic. When you confine a religion to a logic, it means that you're confining. Uh, it means that you're confining. It's something to your human explanation. Everybody does not have complete idea about a certain thing. They share the idea what they have. They confine their knowledge to it. So that's one of the things. Religion is much beyond it. As we take example of the ancient scriptures of many different religions, we see that there is a lot of secrecy in that. There's a lot of secrets in them. Then there is a lot of things which are not known to us. There's a lot of mystery, and that cannot be explained just by putting logic to it. For example, let me take an example. Let me take a situation where you are having your exam. So one, we have two possible outcomes. One, when you fail in the exam, you blame God that, yeah, the God didn't make me pass it even though I prayed for it. And then there's other example where you say that it's okay, I failed, but there's someone to listen to me. So you have a belief in something, you have a faith that there's someone there to listen to you, to be there for you. So that's what is faith. It's not something related to logic. Then we can take example of black hole. Black hole, it's a astrophysics. It's a part of astrophysics. we do know what's inside. Like, we do know it's a black hole. There's a lot of research going on it, including logic and scientific explanations. But still, we are not able to completely define it. We still don't know what's happening. So, thus, scientific explanation and logic plays no role over here. And logic just cannot, religion just cannot be explained by logic. And when we talk about religion, there comes two types of people. First types of people are those people who are smart enough, who are basically the internet era people. And the second people comes a group where they're not smart enough and they're confined to their religion. For example, few religious leaders. And it's not necessary that whatever we believe, whatever we follow, should have a logic. And then we do present you this model by saying that there are few leaders, religious leaders, who connect today's world with the ancient past by using today's technology. But you cannot necessarily say that. Suppose, like, we know that most of the people in most of the countries, they are not educated enough. They're rural people. They don't have much idea about what's going on, what's scientific explanation. They don't believe much in science. So here you cannot just question their faith, question their religion, saying that this is wrong because it's written on the internet or something. You cannot just question it, why is it wrong or anything. And next, let's take an example. I can relate this as temperature increase in a place, right? The temperatures increase in a place. Humans know that you cannot stay over there. It challenges the thinking capacity of a person. Similarly, in religion, you don't know complete thing about it, but there's always the topics which we can debate about it. It cannot explain every single thing, but it triggers the thinking capacity. And it's not necessary for us to have every scientific and logical explanation for every single thing. And yeah, there are some, like, for example, if I take that ancient, that if you go to a holy place, for example, like, take an example, like, you go to a holy place, you get a sense of good feeling, the aura you feel inside yourself. You can't explain the aura with a scientific explanation, right? And then, thus, I would like to say that benefits is it binds the people together. It's like most of the people are today, if we find logic and scientific explanation in every single thing, it unbinds the people. There's a lot of clashes between them. But if you just have one belief, one faith, there'll be unity left. And then even like most of the if you take any like situation where unfortunately you're going through any severe things like health effect or any single thing, the first thing we always hear by people is have faith, you can do it, because they believe that there's something beyond science, something beyond logic. Faith is something which built up, which makes us feel that yes, I can do better, the things will be okay. It's just the belief which makes you think. Beliefs play a major role even in hampering your mind. If you think good, if you think positively, it does help you out a lot. So thus faith is one of the things. Here scientific explanation and logical reasoning does not play any role. Do I have time left?
Yeah, you have like 2 minutes, 1 minute more.
Okay. I would like to summarize my points by saying that there is a power beyond science and logics. And as I told about the two people, about the two groups of people, and most of the people are rural people, and they do have the religious belief, religious ideas. Today, there are so many rural people, rural villages in India itself, which is the most part of it, and they believe in they do have certain religious beliefs, certain religious ideas, just by scientific explanation from Google that you have written itself. You cannot just go and say them that your religion is wrong, your ideologies is wrong. And faith do play a major role in your thinking capacity. It helps you a lot in being positive. Basically, it even binds people when people of same ideologies meet at certain places. It even helps them grow together. And thus, I strongly agree that religion cannot be like religion. We cannot explain each and every term by logic. It's beyond scientific and logical explanation. So, thus, I strongly believe the motion. Thank you.
I thank the PM for a fine speech. Now, I'd like to welcome the like dialogue to start Operation Side case. But before that, do take a note that private chat is open for POIs. Firstly, the floor is yours whenever you are ready.
Give me just 10 seconds. Mm. Am I audible?
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
Okay, I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1, start. Panel understand that the motion that which we are debating on is an actor model. The actors are very specific in this motion that we are debating on. So the government bench failed to give the model that they failed to understand the actors model in this, that religious institute plays an actor in this motion, how it is will be benefited or not benefited, how the people who are following that specific religious institute will be benefited or not benefited. The government may make this whole debate upon religion versus science. Okay, we stand here, we're saying that we respect the rationalism in the religious institute, but here we made make our statement by saying that logic is better to prove all those religious beliefs for so reasons. I'll be going forward you to say that. Secondly, first of all, we have to understand that we have a common ground with the government, that yes, faith is the supremo here. We also want to promote faith. We also here want to promote religion. Okay, whatever we have to, we respect each and everyone's religious belief. We respect each and everyone's faith in that, because faith is a supremo in this in our society, whether or it is whatever religious institute we are following. Secondly, I'm going to say it is not about science and logic. When government is coming and telling us that everything cannot be explained by science and logic, okay, but what, it's not about like now, we here come and say that if we are promoting any rational belief, if a religious institute is promoting any rational belief, the logic plays here a very critical role to attract their the followers, because as we understand that the society is getting modernized, and people here not only follows blindly towards anything that is stated by any religious institution. People here, even its government bench or the opposition bench or the panel, we run towards logic. We don't run towards any assertions made by it, because logic is the one that gives us the reason, the concrete reason to follow anything that we are following by the religious institute. So when I'm going to say that we here support that religious institutes should go with the logical explanation. By this we are saying that we are respecting their rational belief, but logic here plays a critical role, because it gives a concrete stamp towards any belief that we are following. Okay, when the PM came and said about belief, faith, it is not related with science, Madam Prime Minister, it is related, because if they also brought up the science, Asian scriptures and all. Asian scripture, they have so many knowledge, they have so many explanation about so many things happening in the world. If those things in the Asian scriptures were not proved by the logic, then we'll not be having such a modernized society. The belief that the faith that we have in our religion, the mythology, the Asian scriptures, the belief, the faith we have, it is supported by the logic. Thus we are here standing and have a lot of innovations in the world. Okay, so if she does not give an explanation about what actually they meant by rationalism, what actually they meant by the logical explanation. They made the debate whole about science and religion, science versus religion, where we are not going to promote this. We promote that rationalism go hand in hand with the logic, because first reason, if we make anything specific about the logic, let's say if any scripture it's written that it's good to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and start our daily routine, it can, we can just say ki, why should we follow? But if we support that small statement by a logic, then we are giving a concrete concrete example to the followers of that religious institute, that waking up in the morning activates the metabolism of the body. It's perfect for the body, it's perfect for the health. Now, as we are giving them with the benefits of the with the logic in that, I know that we are going to follow that, and the society is going to follow with the logical explanation more than just a rationalism statement that government want to support here. Secondly, we have to understand that we as a if we it, as it is a religious institute, as a religious institute, I want my followers, that whatever religions xyz it is, my followers, the society that following the religious institute, have a concrete belief in us and the faith in the religion that we are following. So that's why logic here comes and gives a very specific role in that, because logic is critical in everything PM says, because it is like it anything defines it, it is still able to it's still able to trigger a curiosity to find logic in it. We as a human tendency, we have the tendency to run towards logic now, because we are in a modernization world. Okay, rational views are critical too, so we cannot, and we are not against the rational views, we are just here to saying that logical explanation goes with rational views, then it gives a concrete reason for any rational institute to convey the message to the society. Okay, and she mentions like very vaguely about the smart people and those that like confined to the religion. uh like here we are saying that uh, like when is she questioning that smart people does not follow a religion, or she's questioning that the people who follow religion are not that logical enough and they don't need any logical explanation of what they are preaching? Sorry, but we as the house, we believe that each and every person is the same, whether it is smart or whether it's a common person. We here believe that each and every person needs a confined decision or confined specter to see that everything has a logic behind it, and logic is the key that like I will try to explain that I whatever I have left, I will my DPM will be DLO will be speaking about it. So strongly I believe that all rationalism is goes with logic hand in hand. Thank you.
I thank the LO for their fine speech, and I'd like to welcome the DPM to continue the website case. Here.
Okay, just 10 seconds. Just come back to this point. Okay. Okay, so is my voice clear, audible? And is my video clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, first of all, yeah, I would like to tell you I'm representing the team call. And let me first start off with the rebuttal. The opposition team leader first comes up and she tells that most of the part, she supports logical explanation, but most of the parts, she supports rational understanding, but most of the parts require logical understanding. First of all, I would like to ask you one simple question. How would you explain the concept of karma, heaven, hell to a very common man who is seeking understanding behind this? Okay, because it's a very important point in any religion. Every religion almost covers the point of heaven, hell at the first place. Understand that first, why this concept was put into people, understand why religious was told to people, understand why this was important even from centuries long ago, and understand like what kind of world we are living in. Kaushiki to me, and she explains that we live in a modern world where even if she starts an institution, which is a good thing, she wants people to more confined towards logical understanding, and she doesn't want people to come on rational. She does not mention what kind of logical understanding and how logic differentiate between people to people, time to time, age to age, gender to gender. People from different understanding of different cultures also had different understanding of logic for the same reason, for the same question that they ask, they'll have different examples, even for the different, like 1 century later also, there will be different understanding of the same logic that we have. She does not explain what kind of how things run. She thinks that logic only works in one linear way, that everyone starts believing in logic in the same way. That's how people believe in long back, but she not explain that. Okay, I would like to hear I explain why. First of all, we should have my teammates should have actually informed what stakeholders as this motion is, and I think it's better that we can even introduce it now. First of all, understand that stakeholders is not just religious institutions, rural, it's like everyone in the society, every single person is a stakeholder in this, and is affected by some way, because everyone, at some point respects religion and they have their own understanding and views. First, understand what my speaker comes and tells you, understand what logic is and what rational understanding is. What logic is, my speaker comes and tells you that logic, to sometimes it is confined to human understanding. This is not just confined to human understanding, and rational understanding does explain a little more better. Kaushali's scheme does not explain how logic makes it better for any normal person to understand a specific topic in any specific question, ask any specific question. How does it make it better for some person? Now, let me explain to you how it makes it better using a rational way. Okay. First of all, as my speaker told that it is confined to human understanding, logic, it requires human has a limitation to understand many things in general, such as most part of any religion does include supernatural powers, which the Kaushiki missed out, and she does not explain how do you explain the whole logic of supernatural powers to a normal person. That is a very important part of any religion. You need to explain supernatural powers, because when you're under the blanket, you're under a supernatural power, then you'll have fear to do something good and to follow that religion, but at least blindly or somehow the other way. But she does not explain how you find logic behind the supernatural power or some kind, or it is like different for people to understand what supernatural power might mean different to people, right? And it's more likely that when they go in logical understanding and they do not find any answer, they're more likely to discard the whole concept of it, many concepts of the religion itself. Now, understand that how logic works, and it makes it better for a normal person to understand. She doesn't tell how it makes it understand. Okay, let me tell you what logical understanding is. It requires not everyone understand logic at the same way. Okay, you need to understand that as I told, logic is people understand logic in different timeline, and it has a different approach to understand it. But rational explanation doesn't. That is the whole point why religion was written using rational explanation when it was done at that same time, because it will be easier for everyone to understand rational explanations than logical explanations. A normal man, you go to a normal man, you go to a person from rural who has very little illiteracy, but you go to a person with urban, come from urban place, and he has very literate, he has very good education background. You tell the same rational understanding to them, they'll understand what it means. But you go tell them the logic fully, it's more likely that the urban person understands and the rural person does not understand. How will you say that? And as a religion, you're supposed to tell, you're supposed to explain to every single follower how things work, how why these laws are like this, and you're supposed to give a very good understanding that everyone is supposed to understand, which logical explanation does not work in any case. But okay, as I told, how okay, yeah, ask you, right?
Okay, sir, when you are going and tell that the rural people does not understand logic, are you saying that the rural people does not even stand a chance that they should be explained by the logic?
Okay, clearly, I tell you that today in today's world, we have lower literacy rates in rural areas, and since logic in general in modern time requires some amount of literacy, we need you to understand the fact that it is not possible for everyone to understand. That was the whole point of mine, that it's not possible for everyone, but most of the people can understand rational explanation very easily, and that's how it was written at the first place in any religious book. Okay, and Okay, so even we understand, we acknowledge the fact that really she, as opposition tells, that yeah, it can be most of the points can be explained using logical explanation, but not all. That's the whole point. Even if some point, particular point of religion can be explained using logical understanding, an ideal religion would not follow that reason. Would you rather want your follower to go behind things, spend his time understanding the concept of what it means, or do you want him to understand that this is important and follow it in his entire lifetime, and then understand actually the emotional and belief, go behind the, instead of going behind the logic and finding answers whether this is right or not, understand whether he has he has to do or not, let him follow it, and he has to go in more depths of the religion. He has to understand, should he spend his time realizing if it is right or wrong, going behind the logic, or should he just blindly follow it, thinking that it is good for him, he has to follow it, and there is some rational understanding to it. That is the whole point why most religions go behind rational understanding than logical, because even if it is possible, it is very it's not good that we engaged in deep personal understanding experience, because it's as I said, it also depends on personal experience, and personal experience is not same for everyone. Since it's not same for everyone, since everyone might not have the intellect to understand using their logical understanding, and they not spend their time understanding, they shouldn't spend their time understanding using a logical explanation. That rather they should actually go and understand. Okay, this is this. Okay, yeah. Okay, Priya.
When you are saying that that they don't have internet and everything, the ruler people, then what is the
Protected,
role of your
protected.
religious institution?
Okay, first of all, since you already asked, I did not tell that it is only about internet and all. It can be any kinds of explanation. And second, I introduced the point of karma here, and it is sometimes difficult to explain every single project. And a logical reasoning, a logical understanding have a level. It requires time to understand different concepts at first place. Rational understanding don't. Rational understanding just it can, everyone can understand equally, and some another. Okay. Okay, first, most importantly, what the opposition left out is they forgot to understand that the whole religious idea depends on emotional intelligence than their, logical intelligence or logical understanding. Because the whole
And
religion item runs. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Thank you. I would like to conclude my speech.
I thank the DLO for their fine speech. DPM for their fine speech. Now welcome the DLO speech. Here, here.
Can you get me? Just a minute, sir.
Yeah, you are perfectly audible.
Okay. My name is Rohan. My preferred general pronouns are he or him. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Panel, please understand that in the starting, when Madam Prime Minister came and talked about faith and science, then DPM came and talked about rationalism also. We need to understand that rational explanation is definitely easy to understand for a normal being to understand, but logical explanation is the test of time for rational explanations. That's what we do. That's what we do with logic. If we wouldn't have relied on logic, we uh, we have seen examples of several terrorist groups in this world who have where religious leaders used religion and used faith and belief and manipulated the facts and used them against them, and they have uh, polluted this world with terror and all the other stuff. If we would have used logic on the first hand, if you had treated logic on the first hand, where people understand the logic of each and every belief they have, then we would have been in another place. The world would have been far better place, I guess. In the starting, Madam PM tells about that faith is not related to logic. Well, from history we have seen that faith has been proved by logic all the time. It has been proved. All the points have been proved, and that's how our trust towards the religious institutions and the so-called faith has been grown. That's how we live better day by day. we need to understand, and they talk about logic. Well, in logic, if we let me take an example. If we let's say there's a computer program, and there's a particular logical step that we follow, then like BODMAS or rule of maths and any program we write, occasionally you come across exceptions, and that's the same thing our opposition is doing. They are taking exceptions in this case and proving that the whole world scenario is the right scenario in this world, and we need to go all around this and this. Well, if we take the example of Ramanujan, sir, Ramanujan used to have faith, and he proved several mathematical and he am I audible? Sorry for the disturbance due to my net. And then Madam Prime Minister also come that it says that it is not necessary to have logic for faith. Madam, I've just proved that if that terrorist organization didn't have logic, so that the so-called faith destroyed many cities, many people, and I'm very emphasizing on that place because we need to live in a better place with the help of logic and rationality both. People, please understand, in earlier time, in the times of Galileo and every other scientist, we saw they used to have a rational view and different types of views, that if Earth is flat or if Earth is round. Rationality is the way towards logic. We need still logic to test the rationality and if it's right or not, and then we need to believe on what is right and wrong. Logic basically means what is right, what is wrong, yes or no, and that's how they have been proving it. Then I would like to tell that our LO comes and tells us that faith is our supremo. We are not neglecting faith. We are still telling that rationality has helped logic in that sense, but logic is primary to avoid destructions, to have a better world. We have seen that logic, with the help of logic, we have seen a lot of medicines being derived. We have seen how it has helped us. It has, but by proving logic only. We don't go on rationality and treat people that this is the way to treat, and we come out with anything, whatever we want. I would like to tell there, since they were dividing a line between science and faith, there was a professor panel known as Professor Eric Priest, and a mathematician and a former president of Royal Astronomical Society, who said that the science is the so-called conflict between created between logic, science, or faith or spirituality is an outdated concept. Today, every science, logician, and religious institution believes that questioning, imagination, creativity, faith is a common ground for the both of these people. We have, sorry, I'm taking the timer towards this. Okay.
Can I ask you, POI?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned about terrorist organization. Explain to me how you would like to put that concept in, your rational understanding, and tell me how their person goes are not related to, their own logic. Because the whole point of terrorist organization is running that they have their own logic.
No. Just understand, if you know how the functioning of a terrorist organization, you would have known that how they tell that this particular path will take you to this place and this place, and this is particularly only on the face of faith and rationality. That okay, you will. I believe that you do this, and you'll go to certain location, and you will have some privileges and all in afterlife, and this is what they have been promoted, and we have seen in media also, and we have seen them giving speeches of such kind in open public also. You can't tell that they have a certain sense of logic. Certain sense of logic is very clear in what is right and what is wrong. This world know that. Then now I would like to summarize my points, in which I have talked about what is logic and how rationality takes towards the logic, and how in past we have seen that logic is the test of time for this, and how without logic we have suffered so much in this world, and how in modern society, and Mayello also said how in modern society we need logic, because we have came to this place by religious institutions adopting logic, keeping itself updated and modernizing itself. I think that's all, and I would like to conclude my speech. Have my time ended?
Yeah, it's ended. I thank the DLO for a fine speech. Now let's welcome the VIP speaker from the government side. Here.
Audible?
Yes, you are perfectly audible in this one.
Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Panel, I want you guys to understand what we are trying to say. What we are trying to say here is there is a power beyond science, as beautifully mentioned by our PM, saying that there are some things which cannot be explained, which cannot be what you say given all logical reasoning, because some things should be believed, some things should be abstract as it is. So, with an example of some what you say supernatural powers, as mentioned before, saying that there was this there is a god A who is very strong and who has this whole very strong power and has a ability to fight against evils. So we as a people believe in that god, saying that if we pray to him, we'll have this particular secure feeling which will give us it. Actually this whole scenario, I with this scenario I want to say, what is I say is that we'll get that kind of security, kind of what you say is mindset, that we are secure, we are feeling great. So these feeling, this emotional support which we get from belief in the god, which is not in the logical side, is that we it will give us some support, sense of security, which you can never get when you give it in a logical sense. For example, if you explain any ritual or anything logically, people will stop believing the positive effects of it. Like when you say that this ritual, by doing this you will get for example, early in the morning, as mentioned by opposition leader, saying that if we get up morning at 5 o'clock, and that gives it has a logical reasoning. So once people get to know the logical reasoning, they'll be like, like it just gives a health benefit, so nothing else. Like that, they might
Why,
not take
ma'am?
it. But when you ma'am, it because like when you explain them complete thing, it they will think that not everyone cares about their what you say, not everyone want best of everything. When you say that if you wake up early in the morning, it will help you intellectually or something, they'll be like, yeah, even if I study more also, I'll get improved. Or if I
Clear,
do
ma'am.
other things also, it will be helpful, I'll take it later. And with that, we also explained regarding other things like karma, hell, heaven. These are the things which help us do good deeds. These are the abstract ideas which we have in our life, which help us go in which do the good deeds. Like if you do good deeds, you will get a helpful. So by doing this, by doing the karma and all, or going to think about going for heaven or hell, we will do some good things. For example, in these whole situation, we will do like on belief, we will do some donation work. These donation work will be used for charities, will be used for all the needful people and all. This indirectly or directly help the people who are needful. When you in and when you believe in the god or something, you will have this trust of as it was said, it binds the people. That is when you trust, and you will get that okay, we are of same thing. We are not even though we are not blood related, we are connected to each other. So I have to help him in his bad time, I have to do something for him. So that is what this beyond like when you not go logical or anything, you will bind with people, you will have that sense of togetherness, you'll have sense of unity, which you won't get when you go logically. Logical is that he's not related to my blood, why should I help him? That's what today's scenario is, because people are not believing in these things. And the
Well,
DLO,
ma'am.
deputy leader, said a lot of examples about scientists. I totally agree that they have done many things. But I want you to even check the same thing. Each and every of the scientists has said there is a power beyond science and there is power beyond all this logic which helped me. The each and every scientist today will believe in this some things which are not there. For example, the black hole or the dark matter, all these things are unable, no one are able to explain, but they believe there is something power with that. So that gives a sense of mystery or anything. When you have something mystery or anything, you will be curious, you will, and you will try all the more, and you will follow everything related to that mystery because you want to solve it. You will be having that curious feeling which you want to rectify or something. So in that context, you will just go on following it and go on doing the things which is required. It literally gives you the pathway to follow your life. And every religious present today in the world does say that live in peace. And yeah, terrorism which was taken up by a DLO, I would like to highlight that terrorism is even done by non-religious communities also. It's just their medium of violence. And as you said, in media they publicly say and all, just with one example you can't explain say that every terrorism group is does based on
UI,
religion.
ma'am.
And they are just against the what you say, they even their own religious leaders will say that our god does not, they it depends on their perception which they think that if you go violent, that is, that are few people, and based on those few people you can't judge whole thing. And you said that belief is supported by logic. And I, what we would like to say that belief is not just supported by logic; it is supported by the what you say, perception according to what you do. So when you take something with what you say, trust and all, you will have that trust building this thing. And stakeholders, here stakeholders was mentioned, and all the society people come under this main perception. And as I say, everyone here will be included in this. And exception, there are some exception, like there are some cases where you need logic, but what we say is that not everything needs logic and all. And yeah, POI.
Uh, so, ma'am, my POI was like, are you promoting that people should blindly follow the religious belief in the name of rationalism?
No, I'm not saying blindly believe. It's the trust they get from this. When you try to break down everything with the logic, people won't have that trust anymore. See, if you do this, when you give the logical explanation of everything, people literally will start questioning their whole existence, because their whole life they might be thinking that this was because God helped me, this was because that helped me. Why do you want to break their whole existence by saying that it is logical and it is you thought it was god you thought it was because of god, nothing, it was because of logical. If you say that, some people here I want to mention, some are very innocent, and the person who believe god will be actually innocent. And when you say them, when you put them on the situation where you say them that it was all logical, nothing was your god did and all, how do you think it goes on their mental state? How will they think about this? That will they not think that whole life what they went through was all illogical? Or I mean, was they might question their own existence. Why do you want to do that? And this religion thing which is happening nowadays is not just from 100 years or 200. It has been like for decades, not just decades, centuries and all. So in from those many centuries they have followed it without questioning. Then just coming to modern era, you're saying that we'll start questioning everything and we'll start finding every new aspect for it. How will you rectify yourself? So with this, I would like to say that uh, the feeling of the religious and the thing which is beyond faith is that it binds people, it does not divide people and all. With this, I will conclude my case.
I thank the speaker for a fine speech. Now let's welcome the final speaker of the room, the opposition whip. Here.
Hello.
Yeah, you are perfectly audible and visible.
Okay. So I have a timer of 7 minutes, which is set here, but just for reminder purposes, please do interrupt the speech and tell me when I do cross 7 minutes. Before I start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Aakriti Shankar. I'll be going as the op whip today. I have no preferred gender pronouns, and I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, the whole crux of the debate, as the motion reads, is that this House prefers religious organizations to actively propagate the idea that faith cannot be explained with logic rather than attempt to explain faith rationally. Okay, so let's make few things very clear here, which I've seen that the government has not understood as what our case was. One is that as an opposition side, we have never questioned faith in itself, which majority of the government statements go on to prove, which will come in my further statements. The second thing that the government says that the opposition is trying to do is completely base this whole case on logical reasoning itself, whereas from the start our stance has been very clear. When my LO comes and says that we are not completely eliminating the idea of rational thoughts or a rational explanation of faith over here. Okay, so proving these 2 points, let us understand what the government has given to us. So the PM comes in, says their PM, their DPM, and their whip come and tell us that, okay, there is a power beyond science. We agree there is a power beyond science. We have never questioned that. That is the faith of the people, that okay, there is a power beyond science. Faith was never questioned over here. Coming enough to certain things is that they've kind of failed to understand that this is an active motion, and here religious organizations attempting to explain this faith is something different than what they have given to us and kind of sorted to prove to us. So the PM comes up and gives a questionable speech where she mentions that there's an internet era of people, there is some people who are confined to religion. It kind of questions as to what exactly she's trying to state. Then she goes on to explain that there are some phenomenons, and I quote over here as exceptions, as already explained by my DLO. The cases they come about to prove to us are pure exceptions that are different from logic. And the whip just comes and proves our point when she says that it is a mystery right now because we are trying to find the logic, which is why we're trying to even work on it and figure out as to what is the logic behind such exceptions. That is the point over here. No matter how much the government tries to come and prove to us that, oh, logic is different, rational is different, at the end of the day, in all the examples of exceptions that they stated, they are basically trying to find the logic to that case, and this is what they're stating as rational. Okay, now coming to the DPM speech, he mentions how they don't want people to blindly follow religion or the logic that we're proposing, but they fail to explain to us as to why this case is not going to be a problem on their side when people just blindly follow rational behavior, or even if they don't blindly follow rational behavior, they go on rational behavior. Our side clearly comes and states to you by giving you examples of certain terrorist groups which on media have, or I wouldn't say exactly media, but there is recorded evidence of them which supports this point when we say that here there is a manipulation of their beliefs and their rational, which again, let me mention to you, the government has not given a very clear definition on rational. All they come and tell us is that this is not always going to be the case, and they try to push the point down, but the point comes back up when we say that even in such groups, you are trying to ask someone to believe in your rational, what you have understood. Correct? When we come about with the terms of logic,
XPOI,
it
ma'am.
is something that is defined. I will take you later. Let me explain this point. But here they're asking you to trust in their rational, which can be very manipulative at points and is sometimes seen in real life examples. The whip comes and tries to reiterate points of supernatural powers, security that they attain, that is from a rational behavior or a rational thinking of faith rather than a logical. And she said that if we try to keep explaining everything by logic, they will lose the faith in the belief, they will stop believing. And she also goes about explaining how karma, hell, heaven are based on beliefs, which we're understanding, and we agree. We've never deny that faith is something that can be questioned here. We agree with you when someone says believe, they have a faith in it. We're not denying that at all. So some of these points do not make sense to us when they come about trying to say that, oh, we're questioning faith. And then she goes about trying to say that faith is questioned due to the logic. And basically, again, this whole thing just comes down to the points that my LO and DLO have proven to you, be it through the example of a computer program where we've tried to show you how logic is a basic crux that is there and some things are explained on it. The POIs also that they ask support our case when we reply and we tell to you that it we want logic and rational to work hand in hand and not just focus solely or actively propagate again on rational. This can be again explained by the computer program case that my DLO has explained to you, which I will reiterate and say that there is a logic of computer programs. There's a logical steps when you have the BODMAS rule of math. All that is basic defined logic. Anything apart from that is an exception. And to support our case, the GovWhip also comes and tells us that we are trying to find out the mystery of these exceptions, which again proves that indirectly or directly you are trying to find a logic over there. They have not proved to us as to where rational comes here. They have not proved to us as to what a rational is. And they are also not able to understand the fact that we are not against faith, or we're not questioning faith over here, nor are we questioning beliefs that the people have. But certain of the POIs just counter against them. An example of this POI where the prime minister comes and says that rural people don't understand most of the logic, they just believe what's taught to them from a young age. Let's understand that this sets a basic crux through which a rational behavior is developed, and uh, they also fail to explain to us why questioning of existence, as they call it, will not be on their side of the case and only exist on our side. With all of these loopholes, I say the opposition clearly takes this case, and I rest my case. Thank you very much.
I thank the group speakers for a great final speech. With this, we have come to the end of the round. I would ask all the speakers to kindly virtually cross for shake hand. And thank you all for a good debate. Kindly give us 5 minutes for deliberation and we'll be back with the result. Here.
Great debate, guys. Good speech, Khushi. Good speech, Midhun, Samhita.
Well done, everybody.
Thank
Well
you
done.
for the
Very good.
debate. Thank you for the debate.
Sorry if you
Yeah, good
guys were
speech,
not
everyone.
mentioned. Sorry if you guys were not mentioned about the verbal POIs beforehand, because I asked Pratyush and in front of Swapnil also to if we are having verbal POIs or not, and they agreed. So sorry for the miscommunication.
That is live too.
Nidhi, are you here on call? Nidhi, are you here on call? Nidhi, are you here? Okay, I think Nidhi is not here. Subra, could you start?
Yeah, sure. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're perfectly audible.
Yeah, so it was a really good debate, and I saw different perspectives from both the sides. But for me, the opposition bench uh, takes the win, and mm, and I'll tell you like why. So the motion was like this house promotes religious organizations to actively propagate the idea that faith can't be explained with logic rather than attempt to explain faith rationally. So I feel like the government side like failed to explain like uh, the rational part of it. Like they did try to bring down why logic is not correct and why it can break apart the faith of people, but they did not talk much about like rational and how rational is required and to specifically promote that particular faith. Like talking about like other opposition, they they clearly they base their case on that logic and rational is something which will go hand in hand. See, when we talk about logic, it's about facts, evidences, and it brings in science, maths, all that. But when we talk about rational, there's a thin line. Rational is like when you base decisions on reasons and facts, and even a rational person would eventually go on to think like go on to think about logic. Like a rational person eventually will approach logic. So these things, like I missed this like these points from government side, like how in propagating a particular faith why rational is more important and why logic won't work there. Like I did not see it clearly. And yeah, that's why I feel this debate was won by the opposition, and they clearly were able to rebuttal most of the points when our opposition whip comes in, and when they question the gov whip with the existence of us as human beings, and you know the mysteries and the exceptions. When they talk about the exceptions and all, they I think they did a really good job with all those points. So that's why it is like off for me.
Thank you, Subra. Nidhi, are you here? Could you please just turn on your camera or could you just unmute? Yeah, Nidhi, you are on screen. You could start.
Uh, okay. Uh, So this debate, it was a really great debate, and for me, in my point of view, the opposition takes the case. That's because I didn't get the much explanation about the rationality, like what rationality is up to, and how rationality plays a major role, and for me, one of their point was like I didn't get a proper explanation like how rationality plays an important role, and the government says that there is something beyond science, and the opposition just says that what uh,
they are fine about that their mainly concentration is on how uh, about the blind like how the people support any religion blindly. uh, their main speech was about that. And I didn't get like how rational plays uh, like being just rational, how it plays an important role. And at last I even get that like through these blind like how the people follow any religion blindly, they are manipulated and these things. But I didn't get what were their major point was. And coming to the government, they clearly say that how they clearly explain like how there's something beyond science. And they even say that there are something which cannot be questioned, like be it any scientist or the examples they give.
Thank you, Nidhi. Yeah,
Hello, am I audible?
yeah, you're audible.
So yeah,
You're audible. You can
this
continue.
was my point, and I would like to end my speech.
Thank you, Nidhi. Hello, everyone. Just confirming if I'm audible. Drop it in the chat. I couldn't read it. Great. This is how it's going to be. First, some general comments, then the call, third, a brief explanation for the call, fourth, questions slash personal feedback. And like at end of the day, if like any observers or any team members who are like observing this live stream on YouTube, they also want to ask questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I'm checking that out also. I will take that from comment section also. No worries. Like before I move on with all the things in first place, there is needed to be some general understanding about the debate in first place. This was a prefer motion, right? What do prefer motion stands and what do prefer motion do in first place? Prefer motion is something that is logically being factual enough. And what do you mean by logical being factual enough in first place? This means that if you had certain argumentation to go debate upon, if you had certain merits that you have to highlight that harms or benefit ratio, you need to prove the certain aspect of dilute that how you are going to do certain things in first place. So in prefer motion, it's not just that how religious organizations are going to relatively propagate the idea of faith, but it's also on the delta that how they are not going to propagate and explain this faith rationally in first place. And this is how the whole debate and the crux slide upon in first place, right? Why? Because on two simple reasons that we get from whole of the debate. One, in terms that how all of these genocidals or how all of these things that came from the PM speech itself, when they talk about that, understand, look, in clear terms, humans are objective in nature. Humans have a different perspective to go depending upon their religion, depending upon their like culture, their gender, etc., etc. Humans differ from person to person, and this was something that was a case setup that was brought by Midhun in first place. And Midhun talks about all these rationality things, all these points thing when he goes on in a deep analysis to how all these things mean. But this is here the main catch, guys, right? Because in first place, when you are not able to go deliberately talk about these things, you don't have the idea that how you are going to propagate certain stances in a debate. And this is where the whole idea of accountability, the whole idea of mechanism that whole opposition have been continuously being raising from the first speech lies upon. And what are the main mechanism analysis that we will get from first speech itself from opposition? One, that understand that we're not against any religion, we're not against any religious practices, but when you're going to propagate these religious practices into your religious day-to-day activity, this is going to do two things for you. One, it's going to make religion much more accountable. Two, it's also going to add a huge level of analysis that how you're going to propagate added clarity in first place. From the whole of the government side, I got only one simple assertion that how rural people are the one who are going to understand to these changes, how rural people are the one who are going to understand these logical scientific facts. And this is where the main contention, the main class in the debate occurs. Why? Because you can't just go relate logical and factual rationality with scientific evidences and all those things. This was the major blunder that whole of the governments did in first place. What? They never understand that the idea of logical and rationality is something that's not linked with scientific evidences and all those things. It's some that opposition wants to give the people who are living into the society idea of choice in first place. And this idea of choice is something that takes down the main burden from the proposition or the government side. This is where opposition had an upper hand when they go on to explain this idea of rationality. That look, we're not against anything, against any practices of religion. But what we wanted to do is that we wanted to prove, or like we wanted to provide an idea of principal justification to the people. And this principal justification lies on two grounds. One, idea of choice, that all common people should have this idea of choice. But second, and the most important, idea of check and balance system on these religious leaders. And this was clearly been stated in the DPM speech, where Diallo speech, where Diallo exclusively talks about that how there have been certain religion who propagates the idea of brainwashing these small youngsters in first place and use them as a weapon of mass terrorism in all these regards. And this is where the main contention lies. Why? Because if you see on a larger perspective, this is something that whole of the op bench also talks about at some other point of time. But this is where the main idea and main contention lies. Why? Because where you could make much religion much more practical, where you could make religion much more grounded in all those regards. And this is where on idea of accountability, opposition had another hand over government in first place. But let's go on to like clearly debunk government side case, and let's go on to analyze what were the major flaws in like government side case. First, they talks about that how people on internet and how people living in rural areas something that are totally different. These people are different. They have different ideology, thinking, literacy, etc., etc. In first place. But secondly, and the most importantly, how religion propagates the idea of like common boundary, propagate the idea to think together, grow together, and all those things in first place. But this is where the main idea that of government goes to talk about, that how you can't just go explain the idea of karma, how you can't just go explain the concept of hell, heaven, and all those things just by stating simple facts and just by explaining onto all this ground that how and what it means. But this is where the main logical difference comes in from both sides. That opposition from the very start is not concentrated that how you make religion much more fruitful, but opposition wants to make these religion ideologies or these religion practices in day-to-day life something that's how it's going to limit your what I say, or how it benefits the religion in all those grounds. And this is where the opposition had an upper hand, right? Why? Because you add much more clarity into these organizations, you add much more clarity in how you are going to do these day-to-day activities with all scientific evidences and all those blah 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 things. But in third, you add the idea of personal choice and personal capacity, which gives you a much more idea of like collective buying and collective handiness in first place. And at the end of the day, you get the idea of open public speech, that what is right, what is wrong, and like gave me also from opposition different ideas and simultaneously that how there have been different scientists who go on to work into these regards. And with all these regards, I feel that opposition did had an upper weightage and weighing than the government side, and it was at the end of the day unanimous decision. Now open for any questions from teams. Teams, any questions? Or if there are, I will wait for just 1 minute or two for comment section. Okay, I have a question on YouTube. I have a question that broader explanation of logic and knowledge. logical based on facts. Opposition comes and gives you the explanation about scientists and theories, which is totally not related to any religion. Okay, so what I could understand from this question asked by Ayush Rathod, that how you could go and clearly talk about terrorists and scientists being totally not being related to any religion. But this is here the main catch comes, right? Why? Because in opposition, you get the idea of accountability that they have been talking about, and how this idea of accountability is something that is being greater than any religious prosperity that whole government talks about, right? Why? Because if you see in a larger picture, you still get in many religion idea of brainwashing, that how people or youngsters are being brainwashed in current status quo, and how it adds a great leverage to all of the religious backlash that these people occur in first all the other places. But secondly, if you take the idea of clarity into the debate, and this is where the main part and contention becomes, right? Why? Because if you see from opposition, the idea of clarity is something that's been non-negotiable. Why? Because you see the idea of clarity being coming, and like it's there on both sides of the house, right? If you see on these grounds, the fact and check balance system that you have into certain religion is something that's giving them upper balance, when in minimal aspects of division you see that a small people on the ground are something that are always going to be affected and benefited. Okay, if I look for logical clarity in everything, not one, I lose the trust in religious practices slowly, like from simple worshipping in puja and festivals, slowly losing trust in Lord. And this is main, like I explained in my starting also, that opposition did talk about the harms and benefits in first place, but at any point of time, the clarity point they talked about, that how you lose faith, is something they have to mechanize. Just going and stating the facts that you lose trust in everything, lose trust in puja, you lose trust in bath, and all those things, not going to make any sense. They have to like prioritize to me, explain it to me, that how losing the trust is something going to affect the common people on the ground. And this is where you talk about the macro impacts in first place. Why? Because in preferred motion, if you don't explain to me the facts, it's not something that based upon the model or anything. It's become much more likely that what impacts you are bringing out into the debate. So at the end of the day, just by explaining facts, you can't just win debate. You have to explain to me the macro impacts that are lying onto the ground. And this is where the proposition fails in first place. They had beautiful points, they had excellent points, but in terms of impacts and mechanization, they lost the debate in some other point of time. Okay. Okay, I think any questions from teams? I
Pratyush,
see
I think
none.
there is one in a private chat.
Private chat. Okay, when had the point logic differs to even age groups, opposition did not explain how they put this logic into different age groups. With only a child who says logic in so much a perfect person to analyze into the debate. And this is where I think the most contradictions and the most important class in the debate lies. Why? Because when you talk about that, how the idea of logic is something that objective in nature, the idea of rationality is something which is objective. So it's something that a दो धारी तलवार in first place. Why? Because if you see idea of logic versus idea of rationality, it's something that's present on both sides, right? It's something that's present on idea of accountability versus idea that how it's going to propagate on equal grounds. So when you talk about religion being something, when you talk about logic, it's been rational in first place, and this idea of rationality is something that weighs out into the model in when proposition talks about that. Look, in generality, your idea of subjective understanding of religion differs from person to person, from gender to gender, and you can't just go explain all these religious practices. But this is where opposition wins on this class. Why? Because they're able to add to me that, look, bro, I'm not going to against any of these religions, we are not going to against any of the religious practices, but to add extra level of accountability to make people much more understand with these facts. Take for example the perfect example that came in yellow speech in itself, that if you wake up at 5 a.m., it's not something that much more linked to religion, but you're also having some scientific facts that if you wake up at 5 a.m., you get some metabolism, you get some energetic vibes, blah 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 things. And this is something that when you don't need to explain, you just need to put forward into the question. And this is the idea that proposition propagates that rural people को नहीं समझ में आएगा, rural people may not understand, you are not able to get to a larger extent, but they are something that, look, we are not able to explain each and everything, but we are here to put forward an idea of check and balance system in first place. And this idea of check and balance system is something that weighs out the other important masses that is already been present in the debate. Okay, more questions. Last question. Okay. We talk about how we will uphold the essence of religion to further generations where they believe there is specific aura behind it. How will opposition propagate their idea then according to you? We talk about how we will uphold the essence of religion to uphold future generations. Okay, look, like this was never the burden on opposition, right? The burden on opposition was simply I totally agree if this debate would have been THBT or if this debate would have been THW, then opposition might have a burden to prove that how they are going to propagate the religion to the future generations. But opposition didn't have any burden to prove to me that how they are going to propagate these religions in first place. Their simple idea was to question what's going into the current status quo. How religion have been something that act as a much more fact check or much more idea on accountability that how we are going to do all these changes. I totally that if it happened THBT or THW, these all questions do make some amount of like weightage or even some amount of analysis that was needed from opposition. That I totally agree opposition needs out. Okay, okay, I had one question more. What are some points that opposition might have talked about? Good. Okay, see, so this is where the main diversion for me lies. For me, I think it was a good chance for government to win this debate in first place. It would have gone to mechanize their points much more better and prove to me that what are the impacts on macro levels. But if you see from an opposition perspective, opposition also had a huge impact that they might have gone to explain. One, they might have gone to explain to me that how the whole idea and how the whole idea of the religious flaws that are being into religious flaws such in genocides being happened on the name of religion or riots being happened on the name of religion, that how one religion is better over the other religion. And this is where I think opposition might have explained me a bit more importantly that how in current status quo people are much more prone to religious classes and how these religious classes are something that are being used as a political tool by different politicians and also by different state groups. If they had gone to explain to me that now if look in clear status quo, if now religion is something that is much more based upon clear facts and figures, you get the idea of accountability much more. Why? Because now people understand that if some religious leaders is saying to me that religious acts is doing against your religious practices, you get the idea of rationality in your mind, right? That how it's going to propagate and how it's going to create much more humanity and all those things. But second and the most important thing that I think both of the benches completely misses out is the fear of unknown into the debate. Understand what is the fear of unknown and how fear of unknown is something that is been always exploited by any religion. You don't know what your future lies, right? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, in next hour, in next 10 minutes. Nobody knows the future, right? And this is where I think both of the benches, opposition and government, would have come to answer or have come to class majority of the part. Why? Because when you see this idea of accountability, when you see this idea of check and balance system, you are much more likely not to be exploited. Take for example, in any religion, they tell you that do this type of puja parts, you'll get satisfaction. Do this kind of puja part, your Quran etc. will be good. Do this type of XYZ things, you will have a better future. You will get early married. You will have a good wife. You will have a good children. You will have a peaceful life and all those things. And this is where the idea of exploitation is something that is on less on either side of the house. If they explain to me and bring in the idea of logic and rationality and much more sense. I think if there are not much questions, I thank you all for the debate. I think we'll announce the dates for the finals very soon. The teams that are in the finals are like MVIT Night Riders and MVIT Super Kings. Best of luck, guys. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.